Hello everyone, I'm Gemma Beall. Welcome to Attaining the Second Cognition. The title of this presentation is Identifying the Narcissist. I feel a soika push, and have for quite some time now, to produce a video about this topic because the word narcissist is misunderstood and greatly overused in modern vernacular, and we are constantly being called narcissist for the work that we do on this channel. I'm not defending anything here. I actually find it quite humorous because it's so off the mark. So I'm merely pointing out our experiences with the misuse of this word. So, observe and learn. For your information, this is a visual presentation as well. I will have additional tiles with information on it for you. For those of you that do not know, the American Psychological Association, also known as the APA, is the body that controls the field of psychology. Psychology is the field that controls and molds the first cognition psyche. There is a little, well, not so little book anymore, that categorizes and classifies all mental disorders that all psychologists and psychiatrists use in diagnosing mental disorders. This book is called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, otherwise known as the DSM. The copy I currently own is the DSM-5, the 5th edition, published in 2013. According to the DSM-5, narcissism diagnostic criteria is as follows: a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behavior, need for admiration, a lack of empathy, beginning by early adulthood and presented in a variety of contexts as indicated by 5 or more of the following. 1. Has a sense of self-importance, i.e., exaggerates achievements and talents, expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements. 2. Is preoccupied with fantasies or unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. 3. Believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high-status people or institutions. 4. Requires excessive admiration. 5. Has a sense of entitlement, i.e., unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. 6. Is interpersonally exploitative, i.e., takes advantages of others to achieve his or her ends. 7. Lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. 8. Is often envious of others or believes that others are envious of him or her. 9. Shows arrogance, haughty behaviors or attitudes. Now, one of our subscribers posted a comment on one of our other videos, and within the comment they said, most of the mistakes of this reality are based on false self-concepts of narcissism. I couldn't agree more with this assessment. The world of first cog, the world of the ego, the reality as a whole is narcissistic in construct because every ego feeding it exudes some of these traits. I know narcissism is a mental defect, but the projections of that mental defect are the energies that feed that reality, thus making the energetic reality robust with the energies of its output. Second cog is about deconstructing oneself and one's own mind, and in doing so, disconnecting from the mentality that we have all been hidden underneath that exudes these characteristics, even though not enough of them are exuded to be labeled as narcissistic personality disorder. In my research on this, I found an excellent article that perfectly depicts a narcissist, and I put a link in the description box, and I highly encourage everyone to take the 10 minutes to read it, as it is very detailed about what a narcissist is like. For this video, I'm going to use the points made in the article to address the differences in first cog and second cog operations. We have almost 500 subscribers, and of those subscribers, only a handful of those people have direct personal interaction with Indel and I. Although we share our journeys and people feel they know us because of what we share, only the few that we have direct personal interaction with actually know Indel and I. Since I've been frequently called a narcissist by trolls that pass through the channel, I will use these points to explain why I'm not a narcissist and why those that lob the label thinks that I am. The points in the article are as follows. 1. Superiority and entitlement. 2. Exaggerated need for attention and validation. 3. Perfectionism. 4. Great need for control. 5. Lack of responsibility, blaming and deflecting. 6. Lack of boundaries. 7. Lack of empathy. 8. Emotional reasoning. 9. Splitting. 10. Fear. 11. Anxiety. 12. Shame. 13. An inability to be truly vulnerable. 14. An inability to communicate or work as a part of a team. Before I move into discussing these points to address the differences between first cog and second cog, I need everyone to remember the following things from our work, books, and videos. I also want to remind everyone that what we share about these things is from our direct experience of exuding them, recognizing them, and growing and expanding beyond them. Hierarchical mentality, entitlement mentality, projection, the blame game, taking responsibility for one's actions, sham compassion, fear, shame, guilt, teamwork, and duality thinking. Now I'm going to go into the breakdown of these points from the article. 1. Superiority and entitlement. This article does an excellent job at pointing out the hierarchical mentality, the entitlement mentality, and duality thinking of the first cognition. In second cognition, there is no such thing as superiority or entitlement. Each Soika warrior is no greater or lesser than another, and this is something that is felt and known within their being. There is no mindset involved. A Soika warrior is responsible for itself and everything to do with its being. There is no sense of entitlement for what isn't worked for. We have stated this repeatedly in our work, and we are trying to help others free themselves so they too can stand shoulder to shoulder with us in creating a better reality as a team of sovereign individuals. 2. Exaggerated need for attention and validation. A Soika warrior doesn't want or need attention or validation, nor do we seek it, but we also don't run from it either. In the first cognition world, attention is something that one can seek, but is also something that others give regardless of whether the individual person is seeking it or not. One can't interact with the world around them, regardless if it is first cog or second cog, without garnering the attention of others. To show others a way out of first cognition, we have to attract your attention with the information that will help you lead yourself out of first cognition. But ultimately, whether we or the information has your attention, what you do with the information is at your sole discretion. As we have stated time and time again, we are not important. The information is. 3. Perfectionism. In second cog, there is no such thing as perfection. Perfection is a subjective-based perception on one's personal filters, and although the first cog world shoves perfection up our asses, a true Soika warrior doesn't choose to label or categorize anything by such limiting measures. How many times have I said in my videos, I know my work is not perfect. Not to mention, I intentionally left typos in my books, because I want to keep the authenticity of the work and not try to attain any presumption of perfectionism. 4. Great need for control. Control is not necessarily a bad thing. Everything you do in your life is within your control. If you are not controlling what transpires around you for your life, then someone else or something else is. A Soika warrior doesn't fret over control, as a Soika warrior understands that regardless if they have no control over what happens in their life, they do have the self-control to direct the outcome. When it comes to your life, you should be the only one in control of how you respond and how you choose to move beyond it. A Soika warrior also doesn't exude control over others except in a defensive capacity, because to do so would be a trespass on another. On my channel, I set rules to keep control over my creation. My intent for my channel is to be a safe place where others that want to disengage from First Cog can come listen, share, and learn from each other, not just us, in an environment that is peaceful and supportive, not one of constant conflict. That shit may fly in the First Cog, but not in our Second Cog channel it won't. If one can't be civil and respectful, then one is not allowed in my creation. I'm not trying to control others by doing this. I'm controlling the environment. I don't give a fuck what they do elsewhere, but since this is my creation, they will not do it here. I call this respect, and I have every right as a channel owner to demand it for our loyal subscribers. Lack of responsibility, blaming and deflecting. This is a common theme in First Cognition. And if you look all around, everything is about deflecting personal responsibility. Second Cog is all about personal responsibility. You take responsibility for the choices that you make and the actions that you take. On my channel, I had told our subscribers that this is a safe environment for them. And when someone comes to my channel being disrespectful, I wouldn't be a responsible channel owner if I allowed First Cog bullshit to transpire here. Viewers have a personal responsibility to act civilly. I have a personal responsibility as channel owner to make sure they do so on my channel. Lack of boundaries. In Second Cognition, everyone has their boundaries, and they are entitled to their personal boundaries in their own personal space and their property. A Second Cog warrior understands this, and it is the First Cog ego that refuses to acknowledge personal boundaries of others and trespass on those boundaries regularly. My channel is my personal space, and although anyone is free to come and visit, that doesn't mean that there isn't a boundary in place where their actions and behaviors get a free pass. Refer to what I said already about personal responsibility. Number 7, lack of empathy. Empathy is one of those things that is confused with compassion. We explain this in the empath versus sympath, there is a difference video, and in other videos about sham compassion. Most people in general in First Cog lack empathy. It is not just associated with narcissist. Empathy doesn't necessarily mean trying to figure out the emotions that others are feeling. It means putting yourself in the shoes of others to get a perspective from that point of view. Most people rarely, if ever, do this, and to be honest, as a Soika warrior, this is a major peeve of mine, and it has been for a long time, because the lack of understanding about this huge lack of boundary is what most people will never realize. I've been wanting to do a video about this for almost 2 years now, but I can't do it without sounding like a total rant, but here goes. I will use our videos and our books as an example. I'm not whining here. I'm showing you a perspective from someone with understanding of the process and what it takes to make happen. This video is more than likely going to be between 20 and 30 minutes of your listening time, but my time in creating it thus far is going on 3 hours. By the time I finish writing the script, recording the audio, and editing it, then making the video, I will have put in at least 6 hours to produce it. If I did fancy videos like the old ones, it would add anywhere from 3 to 5 more hours to this process. I don't have that much time that I'm willing to dedicate for fancy pictures, because they really don't enhance a message, they only distract from them. We have on our channel, at minimum, 600 hours of watch time in free videos. If the average video creation time is 4 hours, that is equivalent to 28 full days in hours spent over less than 2 years, and that does not include writing the books. Others accuse us of only trying to sell books, yet here we are spending lots of our time and energy into producing videos for free. We've had others tell us, not ask us, that we need to make the books into videos. Well, let's look at demystifying the mystical. This book has 401 pages. It takes 2 minutes per page in reading the scripts and doing these videos. So it would take 26 30-minute videos to convert this book into a video like we produce now. That is 800 watch time minutes for you, the viewer, or 13.5 watch time hours. And it would take us, at the average video production time of 4 hours, an additional 104 hours or 4.5 full days to produce it for free to you. This does not include the hours Endel spent writing and editing the book, or I spent editing and formatting the book. I have a full-time job. At my hourly rate, I am literally spending tens of thousands of dollars of my time without any compensation to help others pull themselves out of the morass of the first cognition. If I'm a narcissist, then I'm the dumbest narcissist in the world. Don't get me wrong. I do this because I want to help others. I know there are those of you that appreciate the hell out of what we're doing, and we appreciate the hell out of you for doing the internal work so you can come and stand shoulder to shoulder with us to expand second cognition. But ask yourself this: who's the narcissist? Us? Are the ones making these demands, then calling us a narcissist when we call them on their shit? I will use a prime example of this in a recent, though now deleted, comment on the explanations on how to expand yourself video of Endel's. Now, this is not the first time we've received comments similar to this. The commenter that goes by the name of Healing Bean said, and this is a direct quote, "I'm disappointed with your attitude, preaching about doing something but not giving any clues as to how to do it. To most people, it's impossible to even imagine." To which I responded something to the effect of this. I mean, the comment was deleted, so I don't remember the exact words, and I don't get notifications of my own comments to have a record. I replied, "I don't appreciate your attitude that you are bringing to my channel. We have 166 videos and 21 books detailing how to do this, so your comment shows that you do not know what you're talking about." Endel responded, and this is a direct quote, "Am I to suppose that you are one of those for whom it's impossible to imagine?" The Bean then came back with this: "Here we go again, same attitude plus assuming things about me like a typical narcissist. You've exposed yourself, Mr. or Mrs. or Mrs. and I will not reply to any more of your comments. Unsubbed." Now, from my deep study of psychology, and I couldn't locate it anywhere in the DSM-5, that making assumptions was a part of a narcissistic personality disorder. But what the fuck do I know? Where did either Endel or I make an assumption? If you look at your life around you, every day people expect, do, and ask things of others without giving a consideration of what they are asking will require the other person to do. This is lack of empathy. How many of you have done this? How many of you have had others do this to you? There are situations in your life, and there are many different ways that this can occur. How many times have you willingly done something for someone, but you didn't want to because of the time and energy or money that doing it would require? How many times have you done it anyway, but then was mad or angry because of it? I want you to think about this, and in the comments section, let's start a discussion on the ways that we lack empathy towards each other in our daily lives. I don't need to go through the last of the items on the list, as we've addressed most of them already in our videos, and the article itself covers it pretty well. Narcissism is a personality disorder. What constitutes a personality disorder is that there has to be at least 5 items on the list in the DSM-5, and that the person's life or those around them has to be negatively affected by the behavior for an extended period of time to get the official diagnosis as a disorder. This is not common knowledge to the public at large. This is what you learn in academia when you are studying to become a psychologist. This does not mean that people that are undiagnosed do not have this disorder, but it also doesn't mean that everyone has this disorder. The fact doesn't prevent lay people from glomming onto a diagnostic label and applying it to everyone else around them. This glomming onto and labeling is called what? That's right, folks, a perceptual filter. What do perceptual filters do? That's right, folks. It molds how the person perceives things and other people. So once a perceptual filter is in place, this molds the mind of the person looking through the filter. If most people were to study and understand the field of psychology, not just reading a psychological or theosophical article, they would understand the difference between a mindset that molds behavior and a personality disorder. In the DSM-5, there are literally hundreds of mental disorders, but how many of them have you ever heard about? We all know of ADD or ADHD and maybe bipolar and depression, but the one that you see bandied around as an identifier for everyone, regardless of whether it holds any truth whatsoever, is narcissist. Then they go around telling everyone else their uneducated opinion, and those people adopt a preconceived notion about the other person, and so on, and so on, and so on in the first cognition world. I also want to remind everyone that a mental disorder is something that transpires within the individual mind. Although the mentality can project behaviors, not all actions reflect what goes on within the individual mind. Of the 9 characteristics in the DSM-5 of the narcissistic personality disorder, there is only one that applies to me, and that is number 9. No, not because I'm arrogant. I'm confident, but I do have a haughty behavior and attitude, not against other people, but against first cognition bullshit mindsets and behaviors, and rightfully so. There isn't a Soika warrior one I've met that doesn't do this because the mindsets and behaviors are ludicrous. There is a wonderful first cognition saying, there are 3 sides to every story. Person A's perspective, person B's perspective, and then what really happened. Do you know why the saying is factual? Because everyone perceives their experiences based on their filters. The filter doesn't have to show an accurate picture for the inaccuracy to be seen. I ask each of you that are still listening to this video to look into your own mind and answer these questions. How many of you knew what I shared about the narcissistic personality disorder? How many of you had a mental impression of what a narcissist is? Did your mental impression align with the diagnostic criteria? How many times have you said or silently thought someone else to be narcissistic based on your mental impressions? With this information in hand, how many of those instances were accurate? Did your mental impressions alter how you viewed or felt about the person? In my contemplation time the other day, I had a thought run through my mind. There is never a situation that we encounter that we have all the information. Never. Because even though what we see, hear, and smell is only part of the equation, where's the rest of the equation? In places we never have access to, the minds of others. You do not know what motivates others, and actions and words alone can be twisted and skewed by perceptual filters. We see this day in and day out as we live our lives. Even the most innocent act of kindness can be misconstrued and misperceived by a molded mind, and no matter what you do or say, it will not change the rooted mindset. This is why, as a Soika warrior, we don't dally in the corrupt first cognition minds, because if they are not wise enough or impeccable enough to see beyond their limited perceptions, they really aren't worth the time and effort and energy, now are they? Thank you everyone for taking the time to listen and consider this information. Until next time, I'm Gemma Beall. Stay the course and don't give up on yourself, Soika warrior.